Hello everyone, Sunny here, and welcome back to another episode of Bugrock of the Week. Today we're going to be covering one of the newest Bedrock Edition betas, Beta 1.16.100.57. This beta has a lot of truly awesome things in it. For example, just one tiny bit of the changelog is dedicated to some of the biggest and best changes that we've seen to the mob spawning and despawning algorithms on Bedrock Edition. If you want to know everything that there is to know about the new mechanics, you can check out the previous episode of Bugrock. But today we're going to be talking about some new commands that were added in this beta, other bug fixes, new features, and some farm fixes as well. There is a lot of good stuff to go over. First things first, we have two brand new commands in this beta, which is going to be very helpful for a lot of different things. The first one is clear spawn points. So this removes all of your spawn points from any dimension or anything like that, which is pretty convenient. So if we run that, that's going to remove my spawn point, which was somewhere. Anyway, we can set that again. If we go ahead and kill ourselves now, then we'll see that, of course, we respawn at that bed. However, if we do the clear spawn point command and then die again, then you'll see that we spawn at world spawn over here. Very convenient. We can do the same thing with the respawn anchor. So we can do the same thing in the nether, of course, with the respawn anchor. If we set our spawn point on that thing and then go ahead and kill ourselves, you'll see that we respawn right here, of course. But then if we go ahead and clear our spawn point and then kill ourselves yet again, we will end up at world spawn. So there you go, a very helpful command for a lot of different situations. And of course, you can target players as well, or you can target all players, which is incredibly helpful. And the next command, I don't like. Very bad command, not good. So /camera shake is a thing that we have now, and there's only an add function, so you can't remove it, but you can target any player and specific players as well. So we're just gonna do at me. As you can see, that's a lot of camera shake. That is like a whole lot. I guess if you're building a map, this could be particularly helpful for some things, but at the same time, that's like a lot of shake. That's kind of jarring. Could be helpful though, especially for like a horror map or like when a giant monster is walking around, you get a camera shake every now and again. Could be overall pretty awesome for atmosphere and a lot of different things, but just on its own, ew, no, not a fan, not a fan. You know how I was saying it's a little bit jarring? Yeah, do not add this to a repeat command block. Okay, how do I turn this off? Maybe some slight issues to be worked out there, but I guess, oh, even with a minute or, yeah, okay. That's much more reasonable. Yeah, this amount of camera shake suddenly seems like a pretty decent thing. I'm actually fine with this. Please, map makers, don't set this up to a repeat command block. That would just be the worst. Although, you know what? Hold on. Let's just, for science, we're gonna add it to the really bad one, and then we're gonna set down multiple of these. How bad can this really get? Let's be real here. How bad can it get? It doesn't seem like it's really that bad with a whole bunch of command blocks doing it. This is like, what, 15, 20 command blocks doing it 20 times a second? That's not really that much camera shake. Also, I'm sorry if I've made any of you puke. Speaking of, I'll be back in a minute. Has to do with code optimizations to improve chunk loading performance. Kind of a vague thing on the bug tracker. However, you know, extra optimization for chunk loading is always a good thing. There's not really a great way for me to demonstrate this, especially because I cannot get into the boat for some reason. So we're going to use a new boat. Anyway, I got it on 16 chunk render distance right now. If we go ahead and boat off into the end of this, you'll see that we will eventually hit unloaded chunks, but it takes quite a while. It's honestly quite smooth. It works pretty well. Not really laggy, no frame loss or anything. Of course, that's pretty standard for Bedrock Edition. This game is kind of known for fast chunk loading, and they've optimized it even more, which is a really cool thing. Another pretty small bug has been fixed, and this is one that I actually just noticed recently. So if you're underwater and you try to use a spawn egg, the water that your head is in would actually act as a solid block, so the mobs used to spawn literally right inside of your head, but now, as you can see, they spawn in front of you, which is a little bit better. I guess I would kind of prefer them to spawn as far as you could reach, so like 4 blocks away, or to spawn on whatever you're looking at. However, this change was implemented that way you can actually use the spawn eggs on mob spawners that are underwater. So now you can have your dolphin spawners, your salmon spawners, your guardians, your drowns, your whatevers. They now will work properly underwater without you having to get a sponge or anything like that. So nice little change, and could be good for those of you who make maps or minigames. Another very nice bug has been fixed with in-city generation. Whenever you go to an in-city now, they will have the proper loot chest and the proper ender chest. And previous updates, these things were generating without any loot chests for some players. So as you can see, we got her to a proper loot chest with all the nice diamond gear, and of course all the other goodies as well. So this bug has been officially fixed. Also, yes, we're in the far lands. Don't judge me, this was the closest in-city that I knew of. I'm starting to think that the chunk loading optimization isn't really that optimal, because, yeah, these chunks ain't loading, and like, why don't they load? And then that's causing the water to not flow back. Something is massively lagging out somewhere, and it's interrupting my recording session. A very, very long-standing bug has finally been fixed. Whenever you're swimming, gliding, riptiding, flying, or whatever else, your hitbox will now be the appropriate size and shape. In previous updates, you basically always had the vertical hitbox, like as if you were standing straight upwards. However, now when you go into swim mode or you start flying or whatever, you will now have the correct hitbox, which is really, really good for a lot of different things. This should prevent us from suffocating in the ceiling when we're using our fireworks and rockets in like nether tunnels, for example. So that should be very nice, and there's just a whole bunch of different bugs in the game, kind of similar to this one. It's kind of weird. Anyway, but yeah, this should fix a whole bunch of different bugs in the game when it comes to you suffocating or doing things that you shouldn't when you're swimming or flying. So overall, pretty massive bug fix, actually. Now, to talk about that weird camera thing, this happens when you go into third person when you're 1 block tall. As you can see, it's a very strange thing. It's kind of weird. It doesn't always fix when it should. Like, right now, it should be fixed, but it's not. Very weird. I interrupt this video to say, if you are enjoying today's episode of Bugrock, then maybe, possibly, potentially consider subscribing if you haven't already. This is a weekly series. We cover bugs, bug fixes, bugs that need to be fixed, changelogs, betas, Minecraft news, basically all of the good things that you might be interested in. And if you've made it this far in today's video, then you might enjoy more videos like this as well. And now we have another bug fix for villagers, which is a really nice thing to see, of course. So now older villagers from previous updates, such as like 1.14 or 1.13 or what have you, should now be able to level up correctly when you trade with them. In previous betas and previous updates, they would always reach like a maximum of level 2, for example, and you wouldn't be able to level them up all the way. However, that bug should now be fixed. I'm kind of anticipating some issues with this bug fix, just because villagers are a very wonky and weird thing. So if you notice your villagers not upgrading or leveling up after this bug fix is implemented, then of course make sure to go update the bug tracker. We've now had a couple of bug fixes with the farmer villagers when it comes to planting and harvesting crops. So there's been some performance increases when it comes to them harvesting crops, such as potatoes or carrots or really whatever. And also they fixed a couple bugs that prevented farmers from planting crops as well, which means I might finally make a new crop farm that uses villagers. I haven't made one of these since before Village and Pillage. Like literally 2 years ago, I made a crop farm, and that's all there ever was to it. I've tried a couple times since then, many bugs. But if they fix those bugs, that's great news. Villager-powered crop farms are actually a really cool thing. They're really efficient, and I would love to make some of these. As you can see, this guy just goes ahead and plants away. Let's grab ourselves some bone meal and see if he actually harvests them. So plant a couple of these. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my god, he does what he should. That's amazing. I love it. Thank you, Mojang. Fixing bugs is a great thing. In minor bug fix territory, the Phantom's wings now make a flapping sound. As you can see, it's like very light, but it is kind of cool. It gives them more, you know, noises, more scary noises to scare your pants off when they're coming for you. So let's go ahead and listen to this a little bit more on repeat, shall we? Get some more phantoms. Yeah, that's the proper amount of flaps that I like to see. A new and interesting bug fix slash feature implementation is if you lead an animal and then go to the nether, of course that animal doesn't come with you and you don't have a lead leading to the animal, but if you go back through the nether portal, you'll still be tied to the animal. As you can see, we still have the lead applied to the guy, which is rather interesting. That's kind of a strange feature and bug fix to have, but I kind of like it. It's kind of like interdimensional leading. It's kind of fun. So you can see that it works multiple times. Now, I have another nether portal over there. I want to see what happens if we go through here and then go through this nether portal. Like, what's going to happen with that? Did they anticipate for that? I guess they did, because we no longer have a lead. So the item, you know, the lead item should be over here somewhere, because it pops off by the animal. Yep, there's the lead item. Okay, so I guess it just works how you would expect it to. Now, I did run in with some bugs with this guy duplicating once. Kind of peculiar, and them disappearing sometimes and then following you into the portal when they were like far away. So there's some mild issues with it, but I think in most use cases it should work fine. We have two minor bug fixes with the Beehive and the Bee Nest. Their textures have been corrected, so in previous updates the front of the hive was actually on the back of the hive and the front of the nest was actually on the back of the nest. That has now been fixed, so you know the actual texture is the right way around. Furthermore, bees will now only be able to exit the hive through air blocks, so if you have like a comparator on the front of the hive, no bees are going to be going out through that comparator. It has to be just a plain old casual air block. One question you might have about this beta is when is it finally going to be in full release? And honestly, I have no idea. We don't know the end goal. We don't know what they're working towards. They're just kind of fixing a whole bunch of different bugs and changing some various mechanics here and there. So it's kind of hard to predict when they might release this as a 1.16.5 for Bedrock Edition. Honestly, I kind of hope that they delay it because, you know, obviously, more development time is always a good thing. They've been absolutely killing it with these bug fixes and mechanic changes, and I can't wait to see what they do next. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode of Bugrock of the Week. I hope that you have enjoyed. Of course, if you have, make sure to leave a like on the video. It helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then of course, make sure to consider subscribing, and I'll see you all down in the comment section and in the next one. Thank you again so much for watching, and then there was silence.